In the dynamic world of programmatic ad buying, Viant is your ultimate CTV partner. Target with precision. Buy with confidence. Viant empowers you with AI-driven technology that reaches your audience where they engage most, ensuring your message hits home. And the campaign results? Transparent, thanks to Viant's advanced measurement suite. For media buyers who demand the best, Viant delivers. Viant, elevate your CTV campaign performance.
And Shogun taught me that when people work together, we can make miracle. We can create a better future together.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. You just heard from Hiro Sanada. He is the brainchild of Shogun, best actor Emmy for Shogun. Shogun just cleaned up. It was just a huge season for a series that we all thought was going to be limited, but then turned into this huge thing that's going to spawn season 2.
You know, I think the big question is, if it had been in the limited category, would it have won so big? No, I don't know that it would have. I think Baby Reindeer had a lock on that. And I think that was one of the reasons why they moved over to the drama category. But it was interesting to see that huge crowd get up there. When they let the whole whatever get on stage whenever they give a best series award. And there were so many people up there. Who was left in the audience to applaud?
Right? I know. It's like it truly was an ensemble cast of 200 people in that show. I mean, it was crazy how many people were involved in that series.
You know, I asked somebody once, do they all get an Emmy? If your name is on the credits as the producer or executive producer or whatever, you have the ability to get an Emmy, but it isn't necessarily the Academy's cost. They don't have to spend the $300 or whatever it is for the trophy. But I think the production company picks up the costs. There's usually one, and then that goes to somebody, and then the rest of them have to get also Emmy winner trophies.
Interesting. It's sort of like, when I won a Wisconsin Newspaper Association award, the paper got the plaque that was conveniently in the shape of the state of Wisconsin. But yeah, we ordered some additional ones in the cases where a few of us were named as winners.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, but it's interesting. Like at the Oscars, they usually, the 3 people that win for Best Picture or something, they all get an Oscar right there, then and there. So that's kind of fascinating.
And they're sketchy too about letting how many people be. I think the most they ever had was 6. Okay. And they said, that's too many. We can't have that many. We've got to cut it down. You've got to decide who the 4 are. They're kind of brutal. So there aren't that many Oscars out there, but Emmys, I think if you went to a garage sale, you might find one.
Oh, they are just everywhere. But I mean, they were handing out a lot of trophies to Shogun, not just this Sunday, but even the previous weekend when they had the technical Emmys go, the creative ones. So it's just a huge series.
I wonder how well it'll do next year. It's its second season. It's up in the drama category now because that's what they've declared it as. And are there that many followers of I think it's going to have a big this first year, and then it may slide.
Right. And it's interesting too to see where it might fall because will the Bear move back into from comedy to drama, and we'll get to that in a moment. But we're still talking Shogun, but it was kind of like it's the first season. Something like this hasn't been done before. When Hiro Sanada got up there to accept one of the awards, and they were actually starting to play him off the stage, and he basically put his foot down. He was like, "Hold on,
this is my moment.
This is my moment, and I would like to say something in Japanese." And then all of a sudden, the music stopped. But I thought that was very touching too, to really show the strength of this being a foreign language production. We have moved past, and there was a few moments too within the awards where they were talking about different opportunities for like Latino actors
John
and
Leguizamo, yeah.
yeah, and it was just this, like look at how the changes are, and this is an example of like, we're not getting in the past they even had a full Japanese cast doing this, right? It would have been just they would have just hired anybody. It would have been done in English. There wouldn't have been any subtitling, and it's really changed. So it was nice to hear him get to accept the award, say some things in Japanese. Obviously his colleague then read the translation. Yeah, it was interesting. And there was another, they won so many. But here we have a clip from Anna Sawai, who won Best Actress, right? In the
Right.
yeah. So let's hear briefly from her.
This is to all the women who expect nothing and continue to be an example for everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Anna, another winner of Shogun, just a huge night.
And when it was first put out there, they criticized her accent and said the accent, is this right? Well, I guess it was, because she got the trophy. So I don't think we're too worried about that. But this will be, I think Shogun will be like The Crown, where it doesn't necessarily happen every year, or your Game of Thrones. It might take a year or two to get another one. So I think there's an opening next year for another drama to slip in there. And it could be one that comes back. Maybe the morning show will finally get its shot. And there are new ones. Gilded Age, people like that. Bridgerton hasn't had a moment. So we'll see how that kind of spills out. There are new shows coming on the new season that I think could easily qualify for some of those.
Right. And then there's shows too, like because so many of these shows don't go, every year anymore. Like this is now, assuming Shogun is going to take a year or two off before they film season 2, House of the Dragon, which had a year off, they'll presumably be nominated for their season 2, which recently ended, and they'll be back in the drama category. So,
and it would have been a good year to say goodbye to The Crown, because it's the end of their series. And so they could have been a big winner if there hadn't been this juggernaut called Shogun. I looked at all of the lists to see if that happened, if Shogun weren't in the category, who would have won? And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, well, it's pretty strong, but I think Crown would have gotten it. I think they would have taken the best drama series just as kind of a farewell prize.
I think that show, it had such a strong season 1. I don't know if I went through it the whole way. I mean, I watched all 6 seasons of it, but I don't think it ended as strongly as it began.
You know what it was? They ended up doing times that we are familiar with. And so we can criticize that a little more heavily, because we've seen the characters, we've seen the real people, and we know that in some of this stuff they fudge a little bit, and so it's harder to buy it as opposed to the first year that we saw those actors. It was all new to us, and we didn't know Queen Elizabeth as a young girl.
Because this last season too, there was a lot of chatter about, the relationship between William and Kate, and a lot of it was very notably fabricated. So, I mean, of course it is a drama, and they say that, but still, to me, you deduct points when it's a true story, but you don't tell a true story.
Elizabeth Debicki did win. And so it's kind of their nod there to that. I do think that Imelda Staunton, who played Queen Elizabeth at the end, would have been a potential to win. And they still haven't given either of the stars from Morning Show. And I think they could have a moment depending on the season. It's fun to see a big kind of run like they've had, like Shogun has had. I don't know that it's going to encourage me to go back and watch it again, I'll be honest. But I will be interested in what they pull up for the second season.
We mentioned also The Crown, and one of the actors nominated, it was Olivia Colman, right? She was nominated, but for The Bear, right? It was nice to see her, and obviously she's been in a little bit of season 3, which I'm been watching now, kind of off to the side. But The Bear had another big night, not as big as we could have thought, but here we're going to hear a short clip from Jeremy Allen White, who won Best Actor.
This show has changed my life. It has instilled a faith that change is possible, that change is possible if you are able to reach out. You are really, truly never actually alone.
All right, so you just heard from Jeremy Allen White. He won the Best Actor in Comedy, right? So this show won for, it was a comedy, but...
I told you how there were people still complaining in June, July, when I was in California, about this being in the category. And they said it really should not be a comedy. And I wonder if it would switch, with this kind of activity. Maybe it will next year. And you could see even people in the audience, when they were naming the Bear people off as the winners, they had this kind of like, oh, look, like, oh, not them. They're not comedies. And look at Abbott Elementary, got nothing. And that's the big standard bearer for the networks. So I wouldn't doubt that they would figure out a way to politely move it to drama.
In the dynamic world of programmatic ad buying, Viant is your ultimate CTV partner. Target with precision, buy with confidence. Viant empowers you with AI-driven technology that reaches your audience where they engage most, ensuring your message hits home. And the campaign results? Transparent, thanks to Viant's advanced measurement suite. For media buyers who demand the best, Viant delivers. Viant, elevate your CTV campaign performance.
Get 15% off a set of BrakeMess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Yeah, and I'm watching season 3 right now, and I'm trying to think how many episodes I'm in. I'm maybe halfway through it right now, and I haven't laughed really at all.
I didn't laugh once during that.
It's not funny. If I did laugh, there was more of a. You have those moments. It's like when you slip and fall on ice, and you kind of laugh it off. It was more of one of those. It's like, that's an awkward situation, haha. But it wasn't funny.
No, with this series, I do think that whole second, third season thing kind of blurred. And Liza, who won Best Supporting Actress, isn't in it that much in the second season, which she won for, but she has a standalone episode in the third season where she's with John Berthal, who won a guest actor Emmy for playing the brother who's dead. It's like, are they mixing this up? Are they getting the wrong year with the wrong people? Because truthfully, I didn't think she was going to win this year. I didn't think it was this year, but next year I thought, yep, she'll win next year because that episode was so good. So who knows what all that is all about?
Yeah, and I think about it too with the first season was funnier, right? That it made sense for it to be. It was a dramatic comedy, but it felt like a comedy in season 1. Season 2, though, it wasn't at all, and season 3 definitely isn't. And I wonder a little bit when, I was waiting when they got to finally the best show, what show would win best comedy, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, here comes The Bear, and it wasn't. It was Hacks.
You know what, though? That's deserving, because Hacks was really funny this year, and it had a nice kind of arc of stories. It helped you bring back the 2 characters who were kind of combative and now became very friendly. It was perfect. And it was a deserved win, even though it was a kind of a shocking win. And I don't know how you go up against that. If they had just one episode, like Program of the Year, I think that holiday episode of The Bear would win everything because it was so well done. And Jamie Lee Curtis was masterful. And I've never said that before about Jamie Lee Curtis. But the idea that she played this mother who you got, okay, that's why these kids are so screwed up. It made sense. And she deserved her Emmy, but she wasn't funny. She was tragic, And so, and I think it's coming back to haunt them. I really think it is. But I don't, like I've said before, I don't think this series is going beyond 5 years. They're already filming 4 and 5 right now. They could ride out the pony as a comedy and just see how well it works. If that hadn't been in the category, I think that maybe one of the Only Murders in the Building guys would win Best Actor. Waiting to kind of give them something like that, it would be a nice little Steve Martin prize. And I think supporting actress would go back to somebody from Abbott Elementary. Or no, they gave her last year. I was going to say Carol Burnett would get one, but she was comatose for most of the year, so I don't think she could win that. And then I think the Best Supporting Actor, interesting thing was Abbott Elementary has a couple of really good supporting men who weren't nominated, but it would be the way to put in Bowen Yang from Saturday Night Live and give him something. It'll be interesting. I think this is a discussion that's going to be happening quite a bit in Hollywood the next, how long?
Yeah, but ultimately Hacks did win the final prize of the night. We do have a clip with Paul W. Downs, who is the co-creator and co-showrunner of the show Hacks.
And a supporting actor nominee who win.
And a supporting actor.
When we pitched this show about two women, one of whom was over 60, we did not know if we would sell it. And we really have to thank Casey Bloys and Sarah Aubrey and Susanna Makos and Perlina Bakwe and Aaron Underhill at Universal, everyone who's helped us make this show. There are about 20% of our population is over 60 plus, and there are only 3% of those characters on television. And I would like to see more of them because while I'm a great young supporting actor, I really want to be a good old lead.
All right, you just heard from Paul W. Downs of Hacks. So, Hacks, that's actually a show I've never watched. What do you think of it?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Jean Smart, who did win, is so brilliant at this. She plays this aging comedian who's trying to still stay relevant. And she hires a young writer who has nothing in common with her. And the two butt heads, or did for the first 2 years. And then the third year, they kind of found that really they needed each other because they brought out different things in each other. And when they started working together, it made the show even, I think, better. And now we're on the cusp of a fourth season that's all about them running a late night television show. And how many times have they tried this, and it just doesn't seem to gel. Now to flash forward to movies, Saturday Night is a look at the first year of Saturday Night Live. And I think that movie is going to be big. And that's a behind the scenes look at things. Hacks had, there's an episode, if you don't watch anything more, watch the Christmas episode because it shows you so much about Jean Smart's character, where she goes over the top for this Christmas thing, and yet she's not very giving to her own family. It's brilliant. So Hacks, I think, is a solid comedy. It deserved to win. Jean deserved to win. It won Best Writing. It's like the years when we had All in the Family and Mary Tyler Moore going head to head. And one year Mary Tyler Moore won it, and the other year All in the Family won it. And this is just Mary Tyler Moore's year.
So, but it was a fun night. What did you think of our hosts?
You know what I wanted? I because of Schitt's Creek, and I think we wanted that reunion. To save it until the end was wrong. Yeah. And I really think that Catherine O'Hara should have been used earlier. I would have had her arriving like she was the character she played in the series, because she kind of did that, a little bit of her when she was presenting. Oh, not really, where she had that kind of affected accent. And I thought this could have worked really well throughout the whole night.
It would have been fun. I didn't catch the very beginning of the show, but I caught it most of it, and I kept waiting. Where's the Schitt's Creek moment? I hope I didn't miss it, but
no.
Sure enough, it was at the end, and they had the four of them, and obviously they won it during a COVID year, so they couldn't really have their big celebration. So it was nice to let them have their moment. I thought it was fun with Eugene Levy and his son. It was good. I thought it was well done, and it was. They were fun, and I wouldn't mind seeing them host it again.
They had a kind of a halting theme that they started last year, which was reuniting casts of shows. But I don't know that they got as big a talent as they should have. Like they're going TV moms, you're going, what was she a TV mom on? I'm not quite sure I remember her. Whereas if you just bring back like they brought the West Wing bunch. Now, it wasn't the whole West Wing, but it was significant ones. And that helped. I think that was a good introduction to drama. And I think they could do the same thing. Happy Days, they had 2 of them. Now, yeah, there aren't that many still alive from Happy Days, but I think they could have done a little bit more with that, because what people love to see, even on the Oscars, is what old stars look like.
Right.
Is that where are they now and what happened to them? And oh my God, I can't believe she looks like that. That's what people want to see. And so that premise works, because for a long time, TV just was a place where we got to know people. And, for many decades, it was network. You just entered in with everything and you watched those network people. And now, I don't know that if you brought out the cast of The Beef, for example, you'd know who they were, or even The Bear. I don't even know that most people are watching The Bear. I had somebody say to me, what is that show? I hear that The Bear won. Is it like they're out in the woods? And it's like, no, how do I start telling this?
Right. I think the problem you're getting at too, and this is also even just, you look at the two of us, me asking you, like, I've never seen Hacks. I mean, that's a show that, but there's too many options today. You're talking about a time, like at the time of Happy Days, Mary Tyler Moore, even when you get into shows like Cheers and Seinfeld, where, yeah, we are in the cable era of things, but you didn't have so many channels. When I was a kid, I remember watching MASH near the end of its run, right? And at that time, it was kind of pre-cable. I think I had 13 channels to choose from on my TV. In the mid 80s, my parents subscribed to cable. We had this cable box that had a cord. It was like a remote control, but it wasn't really remote because it had a cord that went back to the cable box. And so you could like not get up and change the channel on your TV. But even that only went up to 36 channels. And then even if you go into the 90s, Bruce Springsteen on one of his albums in 1992, his song was 57 channels and nothing on, with the idea being we have so many channels. Look at how many channels we have. We have 57 of them. We don't even have that anymore. Like how simple our lives would be if there were only 57 channels of TV to watch. We're at this point now where it's just there's too many options. Your Hulu's, your Disney Pluses. We've said it. Nobody even watches these shows. Like Abbott Elementary was like the only show that was from a traditional broadcast network that got any love, like other than The Simpsons and things like that. It's like all cable channels now, and I don't have the budgetary means to subscribe to everything. That I just I try to I'll add and I'll subtract from time to time, but it just gets ridiculous. And I've been like, yeah, I would like to watch Yellowstone, but it's on Paramount. I'm not subscribing to that. Maybe someday I'll subscribe to Paramount, but it's just too much. I can't deal with it.
They have those shows that are kind of lures to get you into the channel, but then you say, well, what else is there here? Do I want to see any of this other stuff?
Right.
Probably not, And what do you get in Paramount? You get Younger, you get some of those kind of, I want to say teenage shows that aren't really ones that you'd want to weigh in on.
And then just to kind of circle back too on those kind of recreation reunions that they did, I thought the ones last year, I felt like the structure was better, right? They bring in the cast from Cheers and they had their moment, and
well, they had a redo of the set and they got bigger names.
Right.
These are not big. I'm sorry, but they weren't big names on those shows. And you have Carol Burnett sitting in the audience. Couldn't she bring out Vicki Lawrence and we get,
But even like Happy Days, and I understand with Happy Days, so many of those actors have passed on, but you have Ron Howard and you have Henry Winkler. Those are the two biggest stars of the show. It felt awkward. It was weird. There was this weird vibe coming out of them. Henry Winkler couldn't even muster the energy to kind of, give us right?
Right.
It was just like,
you could put on the leather jacket, right?
No, it's just kind of right.
But maybe they need to start thinking now about who are the old shows that you'd like to see back. You can grab the Waltons. There's enough of those people that people go, oh my God, that's the Waltons. We can see these people. Or, there are some Charlie's Angels that are still around That would be fun to see. I think a lot of it is if they're nominated, we can pull them up on the stage. They can give out an award, and we'll call it a reunion of the cast of whatever. But if they're not nominated, you're not getting anybody.
Well, on that note, we will shift gears now, and we will actually get back to a little bit of fall TV. I know there's a number of programs you've mentioned that are kind of coming up. We've got a kind of like a docudrama of sorts on Aaron Hernandez that's just premiering this week.
American Sports Story. And I do think that that will be a contender next year for the limited series Emmy. Josh Rivera, who plays Aaron Hernandez, is extremely good. And they throw so much into this. I mean, it's like, was he a murderer? Was he a drug addict? Was he a brain injury victim? Was he gay? There are all these kinds of possibilities that could explain why he couldn't kind of cope with the way the life was going, even though he was a big superstar in football. And that'll be a fun one to watch because it is Ryan Murphy, who does a lot of these American Crime Story, American Horror Story, and now American Sports Story, is taking that kind of concept in another arena. And I think he does okay. I think the sports scenes look good. I think you get a sense of that world and you realize maybe we're not judging football in the way we should. So it's a good one. That's starting this week. And then you're going to start seeing series spill out. Matlock, which I've talked about before. Kathy Bates is Matlock. This is one where you go, I don't watch shows on CBS. Those are for grandma. Please don't make me watch that. And you will like it. It actually is good because it brings out another element that you didn't know. The hidden story is what will keep you coming back with that one. And Kathy Bates is lots of fun, even though I think she says, this is it. This is too much work for me. I don't want to do it. That's interesting. And then you have The Penguin, which is coming on HBO Max with Colin Farrell. And that's a continuation of The Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson, where you get to see what it's like to be one of the villains in the Batman saga. And that starts this week too. So a lot of interesting stuff that's out there. But the key to all of it is that it's not 20 episodes. It's maybe 6 and run. It might be 10 and done. It's how it now, that's our new world. And it's a very British world. If you may remember when we got those imports from Great Britain on Master, anything on PBS, they were not 20 episodes at all. Then I think that's what our producers discovered, is that we don't need to have that many episodes, and you can just rerun the hell out of them or put them on a streaming service and still make the kind of money that you're looking for.
You know, that's actually an interesting point you make. Do you know what the first original series was on Netflix?
Was it did they borrow it from like BBC or something?
No, but it was along those lines. It was actually produced for Netflix. Lilyhammer with Steve Van Zandt.
Oh yeah.
That was the very first streaming original program for Netflix. It was produced kind of like co-produced, like Netflix picked up half the bill, and then where is that? It takes place in Finland, I guess. So a Finnish company kind of bankrolled the other half of it. But it was an interesting one where when he was being approached by the people, the showrunners and stuff of doing it, it was that method of European way. What was it, Norway?
Financing? Sure.
Yeah, it was the financing, and also the way, because in the US you do so many seasons, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do a season of it, and he's thinking like,
the model is different.
What do you mean, right? It was a totally different thing. It ended after, I think, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, and it kind of ended abruptly because of basically financing. It was one that took a little bit to kind of get it going, and getting, both parties like Netflix on board to do it, but also the showrunners from Norway. I'm sorry, I misplaced where Lilyhammer was from.
Well, that's where the Lilyhammer was the Olympics. So of course,
right, exactly. So it was just interesting. But yeah, that was your very first Netflix original series.
I must have been young when that happened, right?
It was also, I mean, at that point, we're typecasting Steve Van Zandt, and a number of his Sopranos co-stars made appearances in it.
Now, if you really want to know what the future of television is, Go to a foreign country and watch what their television is, because these producers are looking everywhere to pick up some concept. They probably can pay them very cheaply to get the U.S. rights to this. They recast, and then it becomes a U.S. series. One of those ones like that is actually a reality show coming up on CBS called The Summit, where this group has to climb a mountain, and then they vote people off. And, how fun is that? Suddenly they don't think you're going to pull your own weight, and they throw you down the mountain and say, goodbye, we're done with you. It's fascinating. It's very amazing race in its concept. That's another, but look to the other countries. Scandinavian countries are real big for dramas, and so we'll see a lot of things coming from there. Korea is a huge marketplace for this stuff. Japan would be more game shows. So you find this stuff, nothing seems to be original. It all has a parent somewhere in another country. And all these things do, if you look at these shows that are coming out now, look deeper into the credits and you'll see based on an idea from whatever.
Right, exactly. And I don't hate the concept either, because sometimes shows drag on for too many seasons, or you get invested in something which you think is going to give you a season 2, and you don't even get a season 2. So, come out and give me like, hey, we're going to do 3 seasons. It'll be 3 and done. Maybe that's the case with The Bear, where, we have the opening, the middle, and then I think like, it foreshadows the season 3 foreshadows to the closing of a restaurant, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. So, it wouldn't shock me if season 5 comes and The Bear finally closes because of whatever. It's a tough industry. So give me just a few seasons and I'm good. Just keep good content coming, and I'll jump from one thing to the next.
In your 3rd season that you're watching, it's building to opening the restaurant and having it reviewed. And that's, that can make or break some of these restaurants. So who knows how they either regroup or capitalize in a 4th season. Or, you're right. Maybe he gets fed up and says, I'm not going to hang here anymore. I'm out of this business. You guys didn't appreciate what I was doing. I'm going to LA or I'm going to New York. Goodbye.
Well, on that note, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll be back again next week with another episode of Streamed and Screened.
In the dynamic world of programmatic ad buying, Viant is your ultimate CTV partner. Target with precision. Buy with confidence. Viant empowers you with AI-driven technology that reaches your audience where they engage most, ensuring your message hits home. And the campaign results? Transparent, thanks to Viant's advanced measurement suite. For media buyers who demand the best, Viant delivers. Viant, elevate your CTV campaign performance.